Hey everybody, it's the Chippa. How's it going? Here for another Chippa in the third person video log, vlog, the blog, or whatever the world is calling them now. I'm coming to you from the streets of sunny, not so much, beautiful, sure, some of it, but coming to you from the streets of Lynn, Massachusetts. Lynn, the city of sin. You never go out the way you come in. Over the years, they've tried to change the name to Ocean Park, other things to kind of get that little limerick out. But you know what? I love Lynn. If there's anybody from Lynn City Council or Lynn Politics or whatever listening to this, I'd love to have you on one of my shows. A lot of people I grew up with ended up going into politics in the city. A lot of people I grew up with stuck around, and you know, it kind of has the Lowell Lawrence thing going for it, where it's got a bad reputation. It's on the up and up. I really wish the Blue Line made it to Central Square in Lynn, Central Station. The Blue Line is one of the T lines coming in and out of Boston. It stops in Revere, but the infrastructure is there, at least in the case of a giant parking garage. Where the commuter rail ends up, the Blue Line could end up. I think that could help. You know, I don't like gentrification, but I like making affordable housing available for anyone that, you know, can't afford to live in Boston. And I think, you know, that is a Blue Line stop. You know, they're doing it to Chelsea, they're doing it to Revere, they're doing it to Everett and Somerville. You know, Lynn's got some great restaurants downtown. A shout out to the Blue Ox. I don't know if you guys are from around here, but the Blue Ox is friggin' fantastic. They have another one in Salem called Ledger. It's kind of like a hipster foodie kind of place, but the food is fantastic, and the atmosphere is fantastic, and it's in an area that was at one time considered one of the worst parts of the city, so who'd have thunk? You know, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a town by its history or its past or its reputation. You know, I've had friends come to visit me at our house, and two couples now that are close in our friend group have both bought houses near us because of what they've seen. And, you know, just, you know, live where you can. Live where you can afford. Live where it works for you. Don't necessarily listen to a standard or a statistic. You know, if we had gone by the schooling statistics, we would have never had children in the city that we bought our houses in. But turns out Lynn has one of the most up-and-coming and well-respected special education programs in the state. We're getting a type of attention with our daughter and feedback that I feel you'd have to pay for. And we don't, outside of, you know, tax money. And I mean, that's what public education is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be something you settle for. It's supposed to be something that is quality and available to everybody. And you could go on and on and on about other things that should be that way. Healthcare. But you know, it is just how it is. We need to find ways to make this better. A shout out to the teachers that my daughter has and will have, and everywhere, that bust their asses with little respect or thanks. It's the hardest job on the planet, in my opinion. There's jobs that, you know, might be more immediately critical to saving lives, brain surgery, heart surgery, things of that nature, but we're entrusting our children to you. People are entrusting their children to these people and have the gall to freaking question every single stupid little thing they do when these people are stepping in and being the main reason why your kid succeeds in society. Outside of, you know, you being a good parent, they're teaching them what the world has decided are the things they need to know. And you know, everything can be improved. I'm a big believer in continuous improvement. If you're always striving to have something perfect before you try it or get it out there, you're never going to do anything. That is a weird concept as an engineer, and even as an artist. But at the same time, get it out there, feel out the waters. You know, take constructive criticism, take positive feedback, take negative feedback. I have a hard time with that, so I'm the first person to say that I do, but continuous improvement is a real thing, and schools should follow it. That's why there's checks and balances. The president should follow it. Society should follow it, God damn it. That's my stance on that for today. Our son Jake has been having a rough morning. I'm pretty sure it's teething. Could be gas. But since really early this morning, he has just been an angry dude. So going into work a little bit late, which is unfortunate, and I hate it. But, I'd rather make sure my kids are okay than my silly job. I posted this on Twitter, but I've got my new Blockbuster shirt from the Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon on today. They say dress for the job you want, right? Here's this master's degree, senior engineer. This is where I really want to be, guys. Best job I ever had. I'd do it again in a heartbeat if I could make ends meet with it, right? That's the problem, huh? Moving on from that, so I still have the contests going on my Patreon, patreon.com/thechippa. That supports the Chippa Made This podcasts and creations, which are, at a bare minimum, the Chipman Brothers Tangent, Creating Geeks, Shooting the Shit with Chippa, and the Talkbuster podcast, on top of Chippa in the third person, this video log. Patreon, and again, I'm going back and forth with them right now because it says in the terms and conditions there can't be a raffle or a chance that's a benefit to patrons. And I get that. And I set up tiers that fell within those guidelines. Every benefit that I give in a tier is a benefit that everyone in that tier gets. It's not a game of chance. But my goals, which I felt were personal to me and had nothing to do with people being required to sign up for something, it's what comes along with it that's a benefit to me. I mean, that's a goal, right? If I say when I hit $500, something's going to happen, that's $500 is to benefit me, not to benefit the patron, where the benefits I give the patrons come with the tiers, but that's semantics, and we'll get into it. But you'll probably see that those goals have dropped away from the goals section of my Patreon. Doesn't mean that I'm still not going to give them away. I have 20 stickers from the last Blockbuster on the planet. Once I get to $300 of my Patreon, outside of Patreon, I'm going to give 20 patrons those stickers at random. That's a thank you. I'm not telling you to sign up for that. That's a benefit to me, and I'm just giving back. And then the sweatshirt signed by the crew at the Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon, last Blockbuster on the planet. That's a really friggin' cool, one-of-a-kind thing. Ken Tischer, who's the franchise owner, him and his wife own it, signed it. That's a one-of-a-kind thing that barely ever happens. Just help me out, right? What's $1? A couple hundred of you, 150 of you, whatever. Throw a buck in. Cancel it at the end of the month if you don't like what I'm doing. That's fine. Seriously. I think you will like what I'm doing, and $1 helps me maybe create new things. I've got some other stuff bubbling around back there. It's hard with 2 kids, but this something else is something that's going to include the people I love, kind of like how Creating Geeks does. So it's less of a hardship and more of a compliment to what we already have going on. So be on the lookout for that. In other news, to promote what's going on this evening I am recording the Kevin Smith Smackdown. If you remember the Steven Spielberg Smackdown with the folks over at Geeks with Shields, Axel and Ulrich, they're having me on again to do one about Kevin Smith. The cool thing about this is the two of them aren't as well versed in Kevin Smith fandom or films, whereas I have been in love with them since I was younger than I should have been when I saw Clerks and Chasing Amy. So I come from them from a place of love. They come from them as kind of a more peripheral exposure. And wait until you see how differing our perspectives are on the films. I'll just put that. I have rewatched some of the ones I haven't seen in a while. I talked about Chasing Amy the other day, about how I still think it's a very well written film, from structure and how the scenes are put together and how the story and everything is done. But it's the dialogue that Smith is so friggin' well known for that's really outdated. I feel Clerks isn't as outdated. Clerks doesn't get as... The thing with Chasing Amy is in trying to be, I guess the word for it now would be woke, but at that time it was considered very progressive. I mean, this was a critical darling Miramax flick. I guess in trying to sound woke about gay culture and lesbian culture, LGBT, I'm going to forget all the other words that go with it, but basically everybody out there that was looked at as different, that was shit on, particularly that fall under that, of just not knowing what they were and who they were at the time necessarily sexually, or how they wanted to be thought of, he, him, we, they, she, transgender, not, male, female, poly, whatever, however you want to put it. Because at the time, that wasn't as out there in the culture, and this isn't me making an excuse for it, but Kevin Smith was really going out on a limb and trying to be very progressive, and made a movie that instead comes out a little gross and misogynistic in the way the characters reacted. A lot of that is the two main characters calling each other on it, but there's only so many times you can hear Banky say a gay slur before it's less that that's just his character and more that nowadays it's like, oh man, that hits hard. It's a lot like, but less successful with the Mel Brooks Blazing Saddles satire. This, I guess you could call it satire, but at the same time, every guy I knew talked and acted like that then, myself included, and I'll apologize for it, And where the movie decides to wrap up, I already went through this the other day, is a little bit lacking in anybody learning anything, let's say. Maybe it's a cool one to revisit. It kind of revisits it in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but it's for a joke. But, it's cool that Banky, they fully go through with, okay, no, Banky actually was gay, and he was, attracted to his friend, and that's what was going on. So, just stay tuned for the Kevin Smith Smackdown tonight. I watched Zach and Miri make a porno, and I still think that movie's a friggin' delight, and more people should have seen it. But tonight we're recording that, and that will be up hopefully very soon. So until then, this has been the Chippa. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Bye.